Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew,
And I'm Jared.
And I'm AJ.
and we are Liberal White Dudes. Very excited about today's show. Today's show is the Year in Review 2020. According to the internet, from what I've been reading, this year sucked.
Yeah, I think that's a general consensus. Yeah.
That's what I didn't take a real poll or anything, but people have been real negative about how 2020 came out. Got some recent news before we dive into the year in review, but apparently a incoming congressman from Louisiana died of COVID in between our last show and this one. And in addition, another incoming congresswoman this time was diagnosed. So she has not been on social media because she's been, convalescing with COVID. They're both Republicans. I'm not sure that that's correlated. I mean, I know that pretty much every single person we hear about in our government that's been diagnosed with COVID is a Republican, an anti-mask, and going about their business Republican.
I'm not saying that anti-masks leads to you getting it, but anti-masks leads to you getting it.
Yeah, I'm not saying going to super spreader events causes you to get COVID because all the doctors and scientists are already saying that.
Yeah,
right.
I don't need to say that.
Yeah.
I
mean, and don't get me wrong. I realize that they are just doctors and scientists who've been studying this their whole life. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. You get your hesitancy.
Yeah.
Because they've only dedicated their entire lives and professions to studying this.
And Rush Limbaugh or somebody else might have said something different. So it's really hard to know who to listen to and who to trust. But I will say, wear a mask.
Yeah, like who's right? The Trump or doctors? It's
doctors,
up for,
scientists.
Up for maybe some short conversation. I won't say debate. maybe a short correctional conversation, and that's it. Maybe that's what needs to happen.
All right. And again, we're not cheering the death of that incoming congressman. I mean, that is a tragedy, and that's terrible. He was 41 years old, younger than me, older than the two of you. But yeah, I mean, it's awful. This disease is awful, and we should be doing everything we can to prevent it and stop it. Even more people that I know have gotten the vaccine, which is awesome. I recently got an email from Albertsons where they said that they are going to get the vaccine and give it out for free, and I was like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, they should.
Give me some of that.
They should.
Give me some of that vaccine up in this piece. We don't say bitch because we try and keep this a little bit more PG or G.
We say peace. We say up in this piece.
Up in this piece. You're aware of everyone saying all the time.
Yes.
All right, so we have assembled the top 5 things that have happened this year. But first, let's start with a few honorable mentions. One was towards the top of the year, and people probably forget because it was so long ago. But Trump was acquitted.
Yep.
Not removed from office by the Senate run by our friend and friend of the show, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Good friend of the show.
Basically brothers, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Susan Collins came out at the time and said, I think he's learned his lesson. So, I mean, we've definitely seen that.
What the hell does that mean?
We've definitely seen that since that time. He learned that absolute power does not go unchecked, and he can't just do whatever he wants. We feel like he learned that?
I feel like that lesson may have missed him. I don't think he really realizes. I mean, he lives in his own universe. You know what?
You're right. He did not learn his lesson at all.
I just want to. That was more just a. Yeah, I feel like that's worth noting. That certainly, but he clearly hasn't because look at his current position.
Yeah.
Regarding our very legal election that took place in our democratic society.
Yeah, we're 6 days from seeing yet another date where everyone in the QAnon cult and those folks are saying just wait until. They were just wait until the election, and they were just wait until the electoral college.
Kraken bombshell date or whatever.
Just wait until the Civil War.
Oh, speaking of just wait until, I know we did a Beefing Over Turf about Steven Crowder, and I sort of said I wouldn't ever mention his name on this show again for fear of people having never heard of him and looking him up. However, he was doing this big holiday special, and he was going to go to Nevada and show all these addresses that were people voted from, and then, but it was illegal and whatever. Yeah, he canceled all that.
Yeah.
Still took everybody's membership money and, all that kind of thing. Yeah, sure.
Sure he did.
He's like, it's funny because the episode before that, he was like, and again, I watch it so you don't have to, but he was like, would I risk my whole reputation and my holiday special on something that I wasn't sure of? That rhetorical question is now answered with
that was a good impression of him.
Thank you.
It wasn't bad.
It was pretty spot on.
All official Steven Crowder impressions are now done by you.
Yeah. I will take that. You still do the Trump. I'll do the Steven Crowder. Would I do that? Brr. That's a little lyrical.
Oh God, I hate that guy.
Yeah, real bad.
Sorry, I do.
Not the actor.
I do.
The character.
No.
Just so we're clear, when he calls us up and is like, "Hey, you got beef with me?"
Yeah.
Jaleel White, I think his name is.
Right.
Somebody in chat tell me if that's true or not. Moving on. Honorable mentions. We had some major deaths this year. Kobe, Chadwick Boseman, and RBG. Each of them coming with their own. Two of them were a surprise. One of them not so much. But her timing was not amazing. Not that she, chose
control of that
or whatever. But
right.
There's some pretty devastating deaths. I know. I don't always feel that way when you watch the Oscars year in review or whatever. You're like, some old folks died. Like that's part of life, and everybody does. But Kobe and Chadwick Boseman, both of those were pretty huge.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Since it wasn't coronavirus related.
Yeah.
With that also going on, it was just like additional sad things that happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also them coming with their own impacts to communities that have looked to them the most. There's a lot of communities in our country that look to RBG for, strength more than others did. Marginalized communities that she stood up for. Obviously, Kobe and Chadwick Boseman goes out saying, their deaths impacted communities, greater than others. So they each carried their own weight.
African American icon, sports icon.
Just
they were iconic legends in their own right, in their own space.
Yeah, agreed. So just tragic.
So that happened this year. Just to pile on the various things.
Review.
And, this year
throw that
in. That's the consensus, but let's hold it until the end to be sure.
We'll be giving our figs out at the end of the year, but
exactly.
We can probably you can see where this is going.
Last honorable mention I want to talk about is Confederate statues. Suddenly, there was a lot of attention paid to those this year, whereas it's remarkable that hasn't happened prior to now. I feel like we sort of hashed that a little bit in the previous episode, but you lost and. Your traitors. I mean, every single one of them is a traitor.
Right.
At a bare minimum. Whether or not they thought they were fighting for the right thing, they were fighting for slavery. They were fighting against the United States.
Right. And we have these statues up, and these people that treat them like they should be honored, and it's gross, first of all, and always has been. But also just remarkably stupid. They're losers. You have a monument to a guy who lost big time.
And also not American.
Yeah.
That guy's not an American.
And lost in a good way because he should lose. He's a terrible person. Like, we shouldn't have a statue of him. Like, we're not erasing the history of that terrible dude. Trust me, we'll remember that guy.
And I don't have an issue with, Southern pride that doesn't come from a place of racism. I've been all over the South, and, the best sweet tea I ever had in my life I had in North Carolina. Some of the best wings I ever had, and I've had them at the place that invented them in Buffalo, but the ones that I had in Birmingham, Alabama were awesome. So there's a lot,
Props.
around the South, to be proud of, and sure, your tribe and all that kind of thing. Maybe we don't base it on your Confederate traitorous past.
Yeah, It just seems like a weird place to start. You know, if our
yeah,
lead
it's
into
a bad
hey,
jumping off point.
Yeah, hey, nice to meet you. I'm racist traitor. It's like that's a weird jumping off point for me.
Yeah, it's a couple of adjectives that I just don't get celebrating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a few honorable mentions. So we'll start with number 5 here. Oh, I already did. I said Trump acquitted.
We did.
And then jump back into back. You know what I should do on my notes? Maybe collate them.
That would probably be good.
But we'll jump right back into the list with number 4.
We'll jump right back in with number 4, and I'll fix that in post. I'm going to move the whole Trump spot to beyond this part, and none of this. Only the live folks are going to get this piece.
Only the live folks.
Only you that are joining us live will hear all this that I'm saying right now.
Special. You're special.
And this is why it's important to tune in live.
Yeah, because otherwise you miss this, and you will also miss the message to tune in live to hear this. All right, so jumping back in with number 4. Number 4, I have George Floyd. So, not just specifically his death, which was obviously horrendous, and I wish it was the first time. I wish it was the first time I saw a video of an African American being murdered by cops.
Right.
But I don't know if it was a last straw thing or it was just a sort of easier thing for the country to, wrap their mind around what they were watching, or what. But it ignited, worldwide protests.
Yeah. Like you said, it wasn't just George Floyd because, so many terrible, awful, appalling examples this year of police murdering black citizens in our street, which is what happened. That's what happened. There's no other truth to it. That's what happened. Police murdering citizens. But yeah, worldwide outreach in a way. When you're seeing, I know I've mentioned this to you before, when you're seeing citizens in Norway, holding signs for being like, hey, do you see what horrible, horrendous things are going on in America? Like, you would think that would get some attention from folks.
Yeah. International support for figuring out this problem.
Yeah.
It's and again, this year, it's not the first time people have said that Black Lives Matter. It's not the first time anybody's marched on the topic, and it's not the first time we've watched someone with our own eyes just be murdered by police.
Yep.
But there was definitely, just kind of a culmination of things of people being at home and being able to strategize and recognize that this is a terrible thing. Hopefully, with this incoming administration, we'll see something.
Right.
Maybe large overhauls.
With what happened with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others, hopefully it started or just reignited a conversation that never stops. I just hope we never stop having the conversation about police brutality in this country, about the systematic racism in this country that exists. If we can't pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
you can't, pretend it's not a thing anymore. Like it's a thing. It has been a thing. It's always been a thing.
Yeah. What if we said, every police, station, we have an executive order and a mandate from the national government that no unarmed African Americans are shot this year by police. You do everything in your power, which means you put that at the very, you have to make sure 100% that they are a lethal threat to you. They have to be armed. They have to be pointing it at you, at all those things, or, extremely dire consequences. Can we make it a year without shooting unarmed black people? You can shoot as many unarmed whites as you want, obviously.
If that makes you feel better to compensate.
Yeah, just because I don't know. But, can we make it a year? It seems like the kind of thing that we should be able to do all the time. And,
right.
I know that in the heat of the moment and cops are out there fighting for their lives and certainly find themselves in situations where lethal force is a necessary part of their job. But it shouldn't be the go-to.
No.
Lethal force shouldn't be your first instinct when somebody looks at you sideways or somebody is stealing something or somebody
a traffic stop.
Yeah, speeding and they jump out of their car and run away. Guess what? You've got their car. What's the word? Anyway.
Well, because again, it all I mean, we could do a whole episode on police brutality and
yeah,
and
we hit it pretty
beyond.
hard in the Defund the Police episode. For those that want to watch episode 2, liberal messaging.
Yeah.
We hit it pretty hard in that one, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much to say as far as how our policing should be improved, and not the least of which is just not murdering citizens. That seems like such a low bar.
It's ultimately it's really disappointing to me, you know, like that's really where it comes to, is that it's like, really still, like that's, and there are people that still don't feel like it's an issue. And that's the part that really, really bothers me, is that people are convinced that for some reason it's just, you know, something cops do. It shouldn't be. That's the point.
He was told previously that he shouldn't be selling bootleg CDs outside of that convenience store. And then also he talked back to the policeman.
I hate that too. That
I
whole,
mean,
like,
just sort of the rationale
character assassination.
And who cares? I mean, none of that justifies murder. It doesn't for you or me.
No.
It wouldn't at Lowe's.
If I found out that you used to bootleg CDs, and then you started talking back to me, I would not get to shoot you because of that.
Yeah, I mean, as a private citizen, we're not allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure that there's not a job that I've worked at where if I murdered someone, it would just be kind of like, I mean, under any of the circumstances that I've seen, you know?
Yeah.
Like
well, until there's a real look at ending qualified immunity, it's not going to happen, because if police go around feeling like they're invincible and that badge gives them a right to do what they want without consequence, they're going to act that way, and that's why they do act that way. And their racism comes out because they're unchecked. They
can act that way. Yep.
Yeah.
Power vacuums, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to say there's not a lot of anecdotal evidence to make them fear for their lives in certain communities. I mean, it's not, you know, there are high crime communities where guns are extremely prevalent, where you will hear gunshots frequently, and, you know, and all of that. So it's not to discount any of that, because, some of those places are a war zone. But it doesn't excuse it. It's it
doesn't excuse killing unarmed folks.
Yeah.
It still doesn't. It still doesn't make it okay.
All right. That was number 4. Number 3, I have the election. The election happened this year.
Yeah.
And it seems
like
it
did.
election season starts earlier and earlier and earlier. I could not wait for Democrats to get down to one candidate. That seems to take forever.
Yeah, that was really intense. I remember watching that pretty frequently and paying attention to what that.
It's like, why is Tulsi Gabbard still on stage? You know, I mean, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
it's been interesting for me, because I was reading, and I know you've been reading too, Barack Obama's new book, The Promised Land, talks a lot about, obviously, kind of the inner workings of the primary election. And it is remarkable how long it takes, it seems, for people to give up in some cases, or just accept that they should get behind the more, viable candidate and move forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah, even though, and again, we've all agreed on this show, and even though he will be the 46th president of the United States in 20 days.
That's right.
Not our favorite person for president.
He's not our guy.
Was not.
But he is our guy. It's weird.
He is
it's
now.
He is now.
He is now. You're damn right.
Yeah.
So the election, that was huge.
Yeah. Apparently, Trump hasn't lost yet. You know, like I said earlier, it says wait until January 6th, I guess, when possibly Mike Pence refuses to certify the vote and a bunch of Republicans challenge it on the Senate floor, and all kinds of nonsense breaks out.
The Kraken.
Yeah.
The Kraken.
We're still Kraken-less for some reason.
I'm waiting on the Kraken.
I will add a Kraken in post.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is weird that I said that, because you've now seen one for some reason.
Yeah.
All right, the election. Yeah, happy with the result in some ways. Mostly that Trump will be leaving office. That was, that's what I was voting for. That's what's happening. Awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful day. It was a beautiful day.
Number 2, The pandemic. That happened this year.
Continues to happen.
Continues to happen this year.
Yeah. I mean,
it's horrendously held. I mean, it's just a horrendous situation to be in. The fact that we didn't take care of this like other countries have done is absurd, being one of the most powerful nations on the planet. We should do better. We should have done better, and we should do better. And it's impossible to do so. I don't know why. I don't know what our.
No, I agree. It's hard to overstate it. It's hard to overstate how spectacularly it was blundered by this administration. And it's hard, what can you say? It's not already been said, but just a spectacular, awesome disappointment in this administration and how they handled it, and leading to literally thousands of deaths that continue every day, and then deciding at no particular point that was a number that you could live with as a president.
They don't care if you die, as Steve would say.
Steve would famously say.
Yeah.
They clearly don't. They're okay with that body count on a daily. So.
Yeah, 9/11 every day due to COVID.
Apparently, that's a number that Trump can live with, and his administration has no problem with.
It's one of the things too, where when this started to kick off, the I guess hopeful part of my brain was like, they're gonna do something, right? These people have sucked this whole time, but this is one of those things that feels like an extenuating circumstance. Maybe you take a step back from doing horrendous, horrible things and actually be a person and do person things for once, and try and stop the thing that's going to kill hundreds of thousands of people, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, every opportunity from 2016 on, he's going to be a president. He's going to become more presidential. He's going to stop tweeting.
Yeah.
This administration, I get that person maybe doesn't seem qualified, but they'll rise to the occasion. None of that talk has been true.
No.
Not only that, but quick sidebar. Can we all also agree how stupid that sounds? To be like, our commander-in-chief just needs a little time to get his bearings.
Give him a chance.
He's gonna grow. He's gonna grow into it. He's gonna grow into it.
Look, guys. He's not nearly as bad as he was 2 years ago. It's like, okay, we're saying that about the freaking president, though. So why is that good news? There. Yeah.
I had a friend's cousin.
Not be on the ground.
So kind of a Facebook second degree of separation. Tell me that we should give him a chance. It's going to be a long 4 years if you feel that way already. And it's like, it has been.
It has very much been.
It's been excruciating on the daily.
I got to say, in November 2016, it was already a long 4 years.
Yeah.
By then, it had already been.
Even the prospect of it, yeah.
Yeah,
2020 has been a long 4 years.
By Trump's inauguration day, I was already pretty fed up. His campaign took care of that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So pandemic. No figs. I give 0 figs to the pandemic. It's been just awful.
And if I can too, one of the things that I was realizing is that this is the first sort of presidential. That was the first sort of presidential election, the 2016 one, presidential election that I was like kind of aware of, like I wasn't very politically aware prior to 2016. And it's weird that this is like my only experience in it, because I know this isn't the way that it's supposed to be. Horrendously polarizing and weirdly racist. Weirdly racist. It's hard to tell, but
extremely racist.
But it's the extremely racist. It's
not weird. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's just sad, and it's weird to me going forward too that this I have this in my back pocket. This is something that I like. This is my first stepping into this arena.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression in politics.
No.
The presidency.
The presidency. They're forming anarchists with the passing day.
We have a chat. Grella W says -1,000 figs for the pandemic. I agree.
That's a little extreme.
Pandemic loves figs.
Nonetheless, I agree with that number. I hate this pandemic.
No more soup plantation. If 330,000 people isn't enough, also soup plantation. So
and state fair is probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about buffets entirely going away. I was like,
I have a deep love for buffets.
Me too.
You know that. and Las Vegas, and I'm terrified of that as well.
Yeah, we should be able to have buffets when we're there for the Dozens LWD March next summer.
That's coming up. I cannot wait.
Because buffets, man. And that may be just one of the places where, I'm going to have to side with the stupid people because they will keep buffets open. And so thank you for disregarding your own personal safety.
And mine. Buffets. And all of us.
Yes.
For crab legs.
Yes.
Infinite crab legs.
Right?
It's hard to argue. I'll say it's hard to argue with unlimited shellfish. So I get
it. Okay, so last but not least, and if I know some of you at home are thinking, hey, if the pandemic was number 2, what was number 1 thing that happened this year? And I know some of you are just screaming it at your computer right now, because of course it was the creation of LWD.
Yeah, us. Welcome.
You're welcome, America. From episode 1 to now episode 12, I think we have impacted, America. Let's not say worldwide, internationally. I've checked our analytics. We're only in 2 different subtitles. I think English and Canadian. Subtitles are remarkably similar. It just says, liberal white dudes, eh? It's a little bit different.
Check out these hosers. I wouldn't say it has that global outreach we're looking for yet, but it just launched this year.
Oh.
Yeah, so
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places around.
It's a slow ramp. It's a slow burn.
Trust the process. The
process. Yeah, so we are glad to be here. Glad to come into your homes and chat with you a little bit about how, you can be cisgendered, heterosexual, white male and still care about other people.
It's possible. Yeah. We know. Our examples thus far have not been great in terms of, the political interface, but it does exist. It is possible.
Yeah. I mean, since every time you flip on your TV, you're seeing, one of us, one of our tribe, making your life worse.
Yeah.
I would like to point out one need not be liberal, white, or dude to enjoy this program, but we are a safe space for that as well.
Yeah, no. No. Well, you kind of need to be liberal to enjoy this program.
You do have to be liberal.
To enjoy it.
Yeah, to enjoy it.
You certainly don't need to be a white or a dude.
That stuff, no.
Yeah, but
liberal seems a little bit necessary. Maybe not. Maybe
not.
I feel like someone from the other side could find some enjoyment in this program.
Maybe listen to us disagree with you. Maybe
I will say from the YouTube comments, every conservative that has, taken the time to comment, has hated our material.
That is accurate.
Yeah,
I have seen
that's true.
We've got a 100% fail rate with the commenting conservatives. Now, there might be some conservatives who don't want to out themselves as watching our program and then being like, they make some good points.
I know there's some rhinos out there in our audience.
Yes, please rhino it up, and then I don't know, stop being a Republican altogether.
On your way. We'll just bring it on over. Bring it on over.
So that's our year in review, 2020. I give this year, 1 fig. I had some things happen that weren't terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to give it a 1.5 figs because a couple really, really wonderful things happened. But they were personal and few. And, obviously when you look at it from a national and global scale, this was a really, really bad year.
Yeah, and it's rougher for some folks than it is for me. I know there are folks out there right now who are struggling and not getting the help that they need from our government or anyone. Yep. I mean, much less the government, but anyone.
God, yeah.
And, heart goes out to those folks. They're obviously not sitting at home right now watching our show because they don't have that luxury. But
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Hopefully help is coming soon. I know
Agreed.
Biden's planning to hit the ground running, has some ideas and some plans, got some good people around him.
As soon as he's allowed to actually see the ground he's going to run on, if maybe they'd let him do that.
Yeah. The
Jared, how about your fig rating?
Yeah, fig rating probably 0.
Right?
Probably 0 figs. Maybe a half a fig for me. It was all right. You know, like I personally, I navigated it all right, but oh my goodness, this year has just been horrendous. It's just like, oh man, I'll give it a half. I'll give it a half from me. Have some of my figs.
AJ?
Yeah, I said fig and a half.
Oh, okay. Fig and a half. Ooh. All right, we got two figs.
Got some really good personal things that happen.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say goodbye to 2020, and we'll see you in 2021. This is our season finale, of course, as we end every year with our
been a great season
finale. Very happy to be here.
I'm gonna miss you guys.
Our season premiere is on Saturday.
Right. Yep. 2 days.
2 days.
2 days away
from today. Yep. So please join us for that.
Please.
I would like to once again apologize to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We were not able to have her on the program tonight. We have run out of time. But
it was a big year. It was a big year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just had kind of a lot of things to cover. Got kind of caught up in how I stuck the honorable mentions in between 5 and 4 there.
I could have squeezed you in. That's our bad.
Apologies again for that. But please subscribe to us here on YouTube and like us over there on Facebook. And hey, on Twitter, you can just follow us and see the awesome stuff that we tweet and the people that we engage with over there. So once again, thanks for joining us. We will be back on Saturday, as we are here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks a lot, everybody.